Hi guys, welcome back for another one. Now today's video is a viewer requested video, and the question that I was asked, what are 10 free-to-play characters that you can invest promo credits into, especially the gold ones. Now, he wanted to make sure that I made this list of specifically of those characters that are attainable and farmable by free-to-play players. So I have a guest with me today, Paulo P13.
Hello.
All right, and I'll probably give a shout here at the end, just let you guys know that if you guys want to go,
Thanks for having me.
thank you. Well, thanks for coming on. I wanted to do this with the guest, and I thought you were. It's been a while since me and you did anything together, and I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to Paulo and see if he wants to do this with me. So I do appreciate it. And as I said, links to his channels will be down below. He's on YouTube and Twitch. You guys can go check him out. But jumping into this viewer question, so which characters are not eligible for this? Well, it's going to be a top 10 list, basically. It's actually top 20. But anyways, jumping into it. These are the characters that are not viable for this question. And the guys that tell you the truth, I actually made a poll. Well, but first, before I made that poll, I allowed my viewers on Twitch, which I don't know if you know the story or not. I don't know, I gave you a little brief description of this, but I didn't tell you the full story. Is I let my viewers on Twitch eliminate the pull down from all the characters in the game down to a pool of 40 characters, which the community voted on, which is what this list is going to be based on. But the characters that are not viable are these characters right here that are currently unfarmable. We have obviously your Dark Dimension characters like Ultron, Doctor Doom, Ultimus, and Ultimus Orb, your Orb exclusive characters, and currently unfarmable. Now, I know you guys are right now, eyeballs are probably going towards Red Guardian and Scream. This poll and this question was all made up before these characters were announced farmable, and I still would not consider Scream farmable. Would you agree with that, Paulo? Scream's not farmable?
Scream is, let's see. Based on math, it's about 5,000 or 5 shards per 8,000 arena credits. So give or take a bit because you can get 7 drops, but I don't think that's overly farmable because that's what 5 shards. I don't know, every 10 days.
Yeah,
maybe? 20
yeah.
daes.
Yeah. So So if I think if I remade this thing again today, Scream would still be on this list as unfarmable along with Call, Yo-Yo, Super Spider-Man, and Coulson. But Red Guardian would be made farmable. And I will save a question about Red Guardian at the end of this after we review everything to give you your thoughts on Red Guardian and where he would fall on this list. But with that said, here are the 40 characters that were viable for this voting that the community voted on. And if you have not, quick plug here, guys, if you have not seen this poll and didn't have a chance to vote in this poll, please join my Discord, as this poll was shared on my Discord and various other Discords too. So if you disagree with the list, you know what to do. Follow my Discord. Anytime a poll comes out, you can participate. So I'm going to remove Paulo and I's heads right now so you guys can see all these 40 characters. All right, guys, so there's your 40 characters. So let's kick this off. We're going to start with the top 20. Then we're going to quickly go over number 20 through 11. Just want to show you guys the results of this poll. All right, so Paul, we're going to kick this off with Invisible Woman actually was in 20th place, followed by Ghost Rider, Beast, and Minerva. Now, I did send you a screenshot of the 40 characters that were eligible for this poll before you came on to be my guest. Any of these 4 shock you that are not in the top 10?
Okay, personally, off the top of my head, I would say no. I'm not super shocked about any of them not making top 10. I'd say if you're going to make a case for one, you could make a case for Beast just because he's on such a high value team.
Okay.
But Invisible Woman, again, a good character, but I don't think anything that she does with the added bonus of more red stars is going to be so game breaking that it should be done before some of the other characters that are going to be on this list. Same with Ghost Rider. Again, I really like Ghost Rider. Great character. I don't know if the extra red stars are going to make like a difference so drastic. Minerva, the only thing that the red stars are going to do for Minerva really is keep her alive a little longer, which is obviously a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's quite top 10 worthy. Beast, the extra healing would be good. So there is a bit of extra stuff there with Beast, especially being on the Astonishing X-Men team.
You guys know, all the people that voted in this poll were able to pick their own top 10. So the percentage that you see on the screen is how many of the people that actually voted for this character to be in their top 10. So let's move on to the next set of characters, and that is Negasonic, Night Nurse, and Carnage. I think Night Nurse is starting to gain a lot of popularity in the community. How do you feel about these ones?
Okay, I would say Night Nurse has a bit of give and take for me. Being the fact that I've decided that she's going to be in my city lane for DD4, and I just spent 4 million gold on her over the last 2 days, I have to be a little more optimistic on her.
Yeah.
Obviously part of a really good team. The Red Stars, I'm not so sure. Like gold promo credits, making it a necessity to bring her 6 or 7 might be even a little much for that. Negasonic for war offense, that's going to be good. Like a 6 or 7 red star Negasonic is going to hit really hard for one team in war that you're probably not using elsewhere, but you're going to get good war attack value there. Carnage is actually one I did personally spend some gold promo credits on back in the day. And you can get some pretty good value there. So I like all 3 of them as options. Just I think it's more depending on what you're using them for at this point.
All right, let's take a look at the last 3 before we hit the top 10, and that is Strife, Ebony Maw, and Phoenix.
All right, here's where it's getting interesting. For me, one of these 3 characters belongs further back, and I think there's going to be a lot of people in the community that would disagree. But the character for me that I think 6 and 7 red stars doesn't get you as much value as you think. Actually, maybe 2 of these characters can fit under that. And that would be Phoenix, who is a very good character. Don't get me wrong. But she gets ranked over characters that are going to gain more from their red stars than she does. How often are you really using Phoenix these days as like a game-changing thing, other than maybe one attack, where X-Men are like the, I guess, Uncanny X-Men, or whatever X-Men team they are kind of falling back a little. Ebony Maw is an insane character, and getting a big Ebony Maw is not a bad thing. He's going to be in DD4. He's probably on a lot of people's arena teams still. He's just a great character.
Yeah.
But he's not getting a lot of true changes other than survivability with these red stars, because he's not his biggest move has nothing to do with his stats. It's all like effects and stuff like that. So maybe that's there. But having dealt with 6 and 7 red star strifes, that guy is annoying and good, obviously. But,
so personally, I fear a large strife. Personally, when I look at war and I see a large strife, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be painful. And then as far as Phoenix goes, I have to agree with you. I'm using her less and less these days. I was trying to, even after I G15'd her for DD4, I tried to use her in arena and I ended up replacing her. She just wasn't doing her job.
I think there's some history bias with Phoenix being quite this high.
Yeah. All right, so let's jump into the top 10, starting with our very first character, Taskmaster, getting 41% of the vote.
All right. Strong character. High red stars makes him very annoying and very dangerous. I think what we're missing with Taskmaster is versatility.
Okay.
He is, for what he does, he is elite. He is a bit of a one-man wrecking crew in a way, but you need the right team with him, so he's not entirely a one-man wrecking crew. This is built off of his war defense status, but gold promo credit, I can see him being high up. Top 10, number 10 might work. It might work for me here. I'm a little back and forth on him right now with this.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I fear a large Taskmaster.
I do too. It's just, for me, a Merc team, while very dangerous, is like, I guess, third least favorite team to face, 4th least favorite team when they get really big. Yeah. There are other things I would be less happy seeing than a massive Taskmaster Merc team, because eventually you can punch your way through a Merc team, while there's some other teams you may never get through. And I think that's the difference for me.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Let's move on to number 9. And that is Ghost, getting 53.8% of the vote. So the top 9 got the majority of the votes. At least half the people that polled put these characters in their top 10.
Yeah, Ghost's amazing. A massive red star, like a tier 15 7 red star Ghost alt is devastating. Devastating. It can be a full team wipe if you're not careful type stuff.
Yeah.
I had her in my DD4 run. For her lane, she did her job incredibly, and mine was definitely not 7 stars, 7 red stars. Yeah. I think the question is if enough people have her at 7 stars yet to actually make the great value of it. But down the road, I can definitely see this being a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, I ran her personally in my DD4 run with only 4 red and 6 yellow, and she did the job just fine. Didn't really need more red stars. I mean, imagine she could do more damage with more red stars and survive a lot longer, but man, she got the job done with 4.
Yes, exactly. But I do think she's very versatile, and you can get some pretty good, cool, and interesting theory crafting uses if you do have something that big. So it might be fun to try.
All right. Let's move on to number 8, and that is X23, getting 57.7% of the vote.
All right. X23, she is my favorite member of the X-Force. She's almost twice as big as any other member of the X-Force on my roster, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, she's a great character. Again, at this point, you're mainly only using her for like one war attack per war. I do think she carries that war attack. I think she's the most important member, personally. I do hear of some people using her a bit in some Doom Raid situations with mutants if they don't have Astonishing X-Men. But I do think she's a reliable choice, even if not as necessary. I think it's more of a luxury option.
All right, let's move on to our next one, and that is Jubilee. My girl Jubilee at 61.5% of the vote. Now, I want to cover something real quick. Now, I did leave legendaries in as to be voted upon.
Great character.
Even though they're not farmable, but the characters you need to get them are farmable. So as long as none of the legendaries are gated behind a character that's exclusive, I did allow legendaries to be voted upon. That's kind of why you see legendaries also on this list, which I know some people would go back and forth. Are they free to play or not? So, but anyways, what are your thoughts on Jubilee?
Great character. Part of a great team. Well, I guess leader of a great team.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue against Jubilee, seeing some of the things that I've seen and knowing how much use you can possibly get out of her, especially late game right now. She's semi-late game essential. Essential, I wouldn't say necessarily, but she's a great late game benefit, I would say.
Yeah.
Having a built Jubilee versus not having a built Jubilee can speed you up quite a bit. Getting to something like Doom Raids, for instance, and obviously a lot of people are using her in DD4 and say that she is being surprisingly one of the most important members in the legendary section. So,
yeah, good. I'm glad to hear it. That's my girl.
You can't really argue against this.
Yeah. I personally, I'll take us from my personal experience. I don't have Jubilee maxed out yet. I have her at 5.5, but I have a 6 red star already waiting for her once I can promote her. That entire team, Astonishing X-Men, cuts through U7.5 like it's nothing. They cut through if you can get them on a team for any of the Greek raids on a difficulty 3, and this is not them even being maxed out, they cut through it pretty easily. You just have to be careful of them getting one-shotted by someone. But other than that, they cut through it pretty easily. I've shown it plenty of times on stream. Very, very great team. Important characters to handle raids for sure.
I would say, from what I've been hearing, because I've been actually talking to a lot of late game players in conversations about Doom raids to try and make sure my alliance is ready when we do make a jump. And what I'm hearing is Astonishing X-Men is the best team for it, even though but they say it's like not technically the most essential, but it is definitely the biggest luxury you can have.
Oh, good. I won't get any more debate than that because I know we can have a conversation about Mutant Lane, but that's for another video. Let's move on. I think we are on. I think we're on the number 6, and that is Hela getting 62.8% of the vote.
Hela at 62.8%. Hela is a great character. I never did. I almost spent gold promo credits on her a long time ago. And she is still a person that I would consider, but I don't think she is ever someone that I will pull the trigger on. She is very good, and she is a little more versatile than she used to be. But eventually, Asgard kind of fell out of the realm, and then she got moved on to some like hybrid offense teams, where if you have a bigger one, it does make it easier. But then those ones are starting to fall. Like, I don't know if she's, but people are using her for DD4 with Greg. I don't know if the actual difference the Red Stars will make on Hela is enough to put her quite this high or make it enough for me to pull the trigger. But she is a very good character, and I wouldn't like fight too hard against someone that says you should be choosing Hela. I think that's where she falls for me.
Yeah, she's definitely starting to fall off. She's becoming more squishier against the newer meta. But she still has huge value when it comes to Dark Dimension. And I can tell you firsthand, I didn't take her into Cosmic DD4. And the first instant regret I have as soon as I started it, right? It's taken me a lot long. I have my city characters ready to go. I have my legendaries almost done. And I'm stuck on Cosmic. Like, it's painful not having Hela in DD4. You'll get through it without her, but it will take you close to half as long, I want to say.
Yeah, I don't have her in my team either, but I went the Silver Surfer route, and it's holding up. But I have heard if Hela does help, so that is the fair point. But I don't know if the Red Star bonus going from 5 to 6, which is what gold promos would do, is going to make that much of a difference in that mode.
So here's one of the points I was going to bring up at some point. Yeah, if we covered it at the end, and that was, at what point do you start considering red stars for survivability, or would you ever consider red stars for survivability? When you think about Minerva, you know how she's easily starting to get taken out. Hela, you know how she's easily starting to get taken out. I don't know your thoughts. Would you ever consider spending gold promo credits to help a character's survivability?
All right, so gold promo credits for surviving. The issue I have is gold promo credits are incredibly rare. Like you barely get enough to promote anyone. Like you do, but it's going to take a long time. So the question is this mode so essential that you need to finish right now and you're going to do it with that one character surviving just a little bit longer? Because if not, what might happen, you get these red stars in this character, so now that they're able to survive again, next week they might release another character that's going to make them die quicker again. So eventually you might run out of red stars that you can possibly add to make this character survive long enough to get what needs to be done. And in that time, you would have taken the red stars that could have been working on making someone like take a huge step forward and just done like, okay, they might survive if I give them this red star. So personally, a red star just for surviving doesn't seem like a very efficient use of resources to me.
I got you. All right. Talking about survivability, let's go straight to the damage stat. And that next up is Black Bolt, getting 74.4% of the vote at your number 5 spot.
All right. Black Bolt. I definitely used gold promo credits on Black Bolt when I first got them. And back then, I would have said you would be crazy if you didn't. Now, he's still a very good character. Don't get me wrong. But he is falling off. Maybe he's not falling off, but the amount of places you use him is certainly smaller than it used to be. You're not using him in raids anymore. Yeah. You're probably not using him in arena. The war teams you're using him on are changing and less common.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of uses you have for him kind of falls off. So, yeah, the extra damage is nice, and that he does hit really hard. And for me, he still can do some pretty impressive things. But the risk is he's being used a whole lot less now than he was 2 months ago even. So I don't know how well that projects going forward, doing red stars into someone that is, by and large, a straight damage dealer.
Yeah, I 100% get what you're saying. I still use them currently in my arena because I never really like maxed out my Black Order, so I've been using a hybrid this entire time, and thank God for Silver Surfer because I'm finally back up in the top 50 again with my hybrid team after being kicked out for months. And I still use him for that, even though he's still gear tier 14, level 75 for me. Right. So yeah, definitely his usability in this game is definitely going down. I 100% agree with that. But yeah, still a great character overall. But just curious what your thoughts were. All right, let's get into our number 4 and someone. I don't know. We'll see how you feel with this one. And that is Baron Zemo getting 78.2% of the vote.
Okay, Zemo is a very interesting case because what I've been saying about a few of the other characters that I'm like, I'm not sure they really deserve to be ranked so high. He technically has a lot of the same things.
Okay.
However, Zemo was one of the first characters I brought to tier 15 because I kind of needed it. And he just seeing the power boost that he got from the gear, thinking about the red star boost that you'd be getting, like the amount of extra power, he is actually a very dangerous character. His like clearing buffs from the opponents right on spawn is insane. The first turn ability block, if you get him, the red stars are going to help him with focus. He's going to be landing even more like of his debuffs and such that really are good for specific war counters. That this kind of makes it a bit more of a versatile option. He's very good in actually a lot more things than people realize. And if we start getting 7 stars with like 6 red on Baron Zemo, I think it does open up the door for a bit of a more versatile approach with the character than some of the other ones. So I'm a little higher on this than I think you thought I would be.
Okay, all right. I mean, I personally, I guess the only place I really use Zemo currently outside Dark Dimension and RTA when he's a viable option is the skill nodes for any Greek raids. Like, I mean, of course, I try to run them in Doom raids, but I don't have a full skill team in Doom raids yet. But anyways, but yeah, anytime in the alphabet raids or Greek raids, or whatever you want to call them, like when I see a skill where I have to use Zemo or I could use Zemo, I look at the composition of characters and I see a lot of minions. I throw Zemo in a couple times.
Yeah,
clears them off pretty quickly.
Yeah, he's good. He has AoE, but AoE damage that doesn't take an ability, which is really cool. Because then you can clear out some waves and then still place the debuffs on the character you want the debuffs on. And I think that's a pretty cool concept.
Yeah. All right. So Zemo, pretty good. Now we're getting into our top three, and I have to be honest with this top three. I thought for sure these all three would get 100% of the vote. I was surprised they didn't. So let's kick it off with number 3, and that is Thanos, only getting 79.5% of the vote. Someone I thought for sure would get 100% the way most people feel about Black Order. What are your thoughts?
I did Thanos. Thanos is the one and only character that I spent for 7 red stars on. That is what I think about Thanos.
Yeah.
He, even back in the day, I was a big Thanos supporter before Black Order existed. I thought he made it for some pretty great theory crafting. And then with Black Order coming out, he is a big Black Order will always be dangerous. And still, pound for pound, they are out. If you are using the Black Order, they can kill anything.
Yeah.
Like pound for pound. And that is an incredible thing. That there's been so many high elite teams that have come out, and none of them have made Black Order obsolete or like made them significantly fall down.
Sure.
I still use Black Order in Arena, and I still get top 15, top 10. Like they do great. I mean, sure, my Black Order in War is 800k now, but you take away Black Order, and Thanos is still being used. I used Thanos in my Cosmic Lane of DD4. That's not a Black Order team, but he was useful in there. He could take some hits, and that was before I did the 7 red stars on him. So, like, he's good. He's worth it. I know that there were a couple content creators that a few months ago said, don't invest in your Black Order. That's a bad idea. And I watched it. Still don't know what they're really trying to say, to be honest. But I can't see why people wouldn't think that he'd at least be top 10. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's worth it for me.
Yeah. So your opinion still today, I'm taking it is that you think he's still worth the 6 and maybe also the 7 red star at this point still in the game?
Well, here's a question. You're in war.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take down the medbay right here, right now.
Okay.
There's a Black Order with a 200k Thanos. How do you feel?
I don't want to face it. So I guess that's your point, right?
Well, that's my Thanos
Yeah.
that used it. I guess that's my point, yeah.
Yeah. All right, good point. All right, let's move into number 2, and that is Doc Ock, getting 87.2% of the vote. This is a character, I'll go first here a little bit before I give you a thing, but a character that I recently ranked up to G15 and started using them more predominantly, and dang, I wish I would have built him right out of the gate, to be honest. What's your thoughts on this?
Great character. He is up in the list. I think tomorrow I'm getting my last city tier 15 ready, and then it's going to be the legendaries. He's one of my legendaries that's set to go up.
Yeah.
I didn't build the full Sinister Six team as much as I should have, but right now he's the highest of them. He's a great character. I've had to deal with some really big Doc Ocks. They're a bit of a pain. Great character. He's a reasonable choice. Definitely top 10. I don't see why someone would not put him in the top 10.
All right. There you go, Doc Ock. Let's get into our number 1, who I am still shocked at this moment did not get 100% of the vote, and that is Mr. Sinister with 91% of the vote.
I have done collabs with quite a few people where multiple people have said the following quote: Mr. Sinister is future-proof. And I think that is what you need to know about this character.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they bring in. Mr. Sinister is always going to have something incredible he can do. And there's not really anything that can be done about it unless they make a character that just kills clones instantly. Like, I don't really know what they could possibly do to like make a massive nerf. I don't think he's ever been the character. Like, he came out, people were saying that he would be the DD3 character at first, or the DD4 character.
Yeah.
And like, they made him like a blitz release. He is better than many of the legendaries in this game. He can do things that no one else can, and he does them so incredibly well. Versatile. You can use him anywhere. He's amazing. Eventually, I would love to have mine at 7 red. I only have him at 6. I did use the 6 the gold promos on him. Free to play, not free to play. However you acquire him. Yes, Mr. Sinister is definitely worth the promo credits.
All right, good. Maybe I'll take that advice for myself. I don't think I've spent. I think he's still only 5 red for me, to be honest. But I like the character. I really do. It definitely, especially in Dark Dimension. I'll tell you what. Sometimes, depending on who you'd clone in Dark Dimension, it made night and day.
I had a fun DD. I had a few fun DD4 notes, but I think the funniest one was, I don't know why I decided to do it, but I think there was better options. But my team was the 4 people I started with, and 6 squirrel girls at the end.
Oh wow!
And it just and they just kept healing and doing like the AOE offense down. And it was like, well, this was, I think, easier than the node should have been, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've gone over, top 10, top 20. Is there any characters that you originally saw on that sheet that I first sent you that you were surprised wasn't on the list?
Going to be honest, when I saw, I actually have the list open really quick here.
All right.
So was. Okay, so Black Widow didn't make it. Squirrel Girl, Deadpool, Magneto, Proxima and Corvus. Neither of them made any appearances, which kind of surprises me.
Okay.
I'm surprised Captain Marvel didn't get enough to make the top 20 at least.
Yeah.
Colossus. I'm surprised that if Phoenix was here, Colossus didn't follow. Kind of.
Okay.
They tend to go together. A lot of them that I'm seeing didn't make it are like Killmonger. I should not be in the top 20. Merc Lieutenant shouldn't be. Namor shouldn't be. Mordo shouldn't be. Red Skull shouldn't. The Thing, Blob, Hulk. Punisher, Hydra Grenadier, Thor, Crystal. Like, none of those are really shocking me. So, yeah, I guess the ones that I would be the ones that I already said, Proxima and Corvus, I guess I'm a little surprised about.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any other ones that I'm super surprised about.
All right.
Personally.
So I guess the other question I want to ask you that could get you a lot of backlash for answering this one, but out of the characters that made the top 10, anyone that made the top 10, who do you think did not deserve to be up there in the top 10?
Oh, great. Now that involves me remembering who we had in the top 10. We got missed.
We have Taskmaster, Ghost, X-23, Jubilee, Hela, Black Bolt, Zemo, Thanos, Doc Ock, and Mr. Sinister.
I think, again, not saying these characters aren't good.
Yeah, obviously.
I think the two that would be like, okay, maybe they don't need to be in the top 10 would be Hela and X-23.
Okay.
Hela, because again, you kind of mentioned it when I said, yeah, sure, it's going to help her survive. But it is a bit like spending a lot of resources just to make a character usable still. And I feel like that's more holding on to what's happened with your roster than looking forward with your roster. And I don't think that's super efficient. X-23, I just don't see enough uses.
Yeah.
Taskmaster as 10, I'm not going to be like, he should be 11. Like, oh,
yeah,
come on, guys. I think he would be a fringe one, so I'm not going to be too. And then I know some people use him on their skill teams for Doom Raid, so I guess that adds a bit of value there.
Yeah.
So I think those are the two.
Okay.
There are a couple. There is one person. I can't think of everyone. I'm obviously not going to think like, why is Kree Noble not on your list that you gave? The one person that I don't see on your list, and I can't see why they wouldn't qualify, that I think may have gotten some surprise votes would have been She-Hulk.
Yeah, she's actually a very surprising character. So Twitch chat, why did you get rid of She-Hulk? So anyways, 2 questions before we go. Next question I want to ask is Red Guardian. Obviously this list was put out and the poll was put out before we knew he was going to come farmable in the arena store.
Right.
Would Red Guardian beat out any of these characters in the top 10 now? Would you put him in the top 10? And if so, what number would you give him?
All right. Here's the issue with saying anything about Red Guardian.
Okay.
Pros. He has a really nice kit. He is very helpful in the skill lanes.
Yeah.
Cons. Skilletary isn't great. Possible pro. They are reworking Skilletary, but we don't know to what end.
Yes.
So at this point, I will not risk that. I've kind of put a hold on my Skilletary, like anything I want to do with that team, because I don't know what it's going to look like when they announce it. They could say, oh, we completely fixed this team and somehow made Red Guardian a worse character to invest in. Or who knows? They may be like, all right, this is the change. Now Red Guardian heals 100% max health the entire team every single turn. Something stupid like that. Who knows what they do?
Yeah.
So he could be like the number 1, number 2 option in a couple of weeks from now, hopefully, when they announce the skilletary changes.
Yeah. All right.
I think he would be top 20, though.
All right. Fair enough. And then the one last question. So these were the unfarmable characters. How many of these unfarmable characters would you put in the top? Now, obviously, Ultron and Doom, as of right now, you can't get red in Ultimates. You can't get red stars on them, but the rest of them you can. How many of these characters would you put in the top 10 right now?
Without any hesitation, like without any thoughts.
Okay.
Silver Surfer has got to be in there.
Okay.
Like, I can't see a world where he's not.
Okay.
Now, here's the issue with the top 10. I can't just say anyone that is on this team should be in there, because I think that's kind of what I was being like. Proxima and Corvus, you give them the red stars, they're on the Black Order. Like, why on earth would you rather give them to, I don't know, for some of the people in the top 20 over Proxima or Corvus? They're going to give you more value at the end of the day just because of the team they're on.
Yeah.
If you're going off that, you can start saying, well, look at all, like, the whole Astonishing X-Men team. Why aren't you doing them? The whole Shadowlands team. Why aren't you doing them? The whole X-Factor team. I do like the two Dad Bros as an option. But for me, I think after that, you got Silver Surfer, you got Symbiote Spider-Man, you have Emma Frost. That could all be cracking the top 10. They're that good. You can say Anti-Venom because of like a close to max Anti-Venom is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you can't get through the bio lanes without a very built symbiote team in Doom raids.
Yes, that's
from
true.
What I'm hearing.
It's true. So trust me.
And they might be the most important late game team at this point, just because of Doom raids at this point.
Yeah.
So I'd say those symbiotes might be someone to keep an eye on, but you've got to say Silver Surfer. You got to get Emma, and probably Symbiote Spider-Man up there.
Yeah.
I'm not. Then the rest is kind of like, are you really pushing Astonishing X-Men? Because then they might be the top 10 for you. If you're really pushing the Dad Bros, maybe they hit there, or Black Order, Symbiotes. You kind of have these characters are some of the best characters in the game.
Yeah.
And
so this wraps up.
That's the issue.
Yeah. So this comes to my last point, where, as making this list is kind of like, how fast is power creep happening in this game? And is some of the unfarmable characters the best options to promo credit? And this is a constantly trend we're going to see in this game going forward. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And if there's a character that they realize, hey, this one, if they get a 7 red star, that's really good for the roster.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should put them as a milestone orb exclusive. Make sure you can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, no. This person, he's a money-only exclusive. That's basically what they're doing with a lot of these people. Like, yes, power creep is getting really hard really fast, which is something I've been trying to say. I don't know if I've said it very well at this point, is when you're using your gold promo credits, don't use it on the history of your roster. Use it on the future of your roster. Look at what's going on. Look how this is projecting. Black Bolt, great character. He's not projecting to be increasing. He's on a downward trend. What you spend now isn't going to be worth it the same amount in a couple of months. Mr. Sinister will be. Silver Surfer will be. At this point, they have something that they can do that's going to keep them at high levels. Emma will be. You're going to have to, at this point, the symbiotes are your only bio raid team like that you can really consider.
Yeah.
So you might need to look a little bit more about what you're doing going forward instead of what you're at right now, because the power creep is getting pretty intense in this game right now. I mean, for a while they hit a few teams in a row and everyone's like, I don't know about this. But now they're just like, okay, well, what about this team? This team is basically indestructible. Is that fine for you? Okay, what about this team? It kills anything. Yes, anything.
No.
So yeah, it's getting bad.
All right, good. That's exactly the point that I wanted to really hammer home with this list. Hopefully people stuck through this to this point to understand the reason why I really wanted to do this after I was asked the question. And any of you guys who asked me on Discord about, like, you kind of get your answer now. But anyways, guys, I do appreciate, you guys sticking through this one, and Paulo P13 for joining me. And he's halfway across the world. If you guys hear any audio issues, it's because, he's halfway across the world. But Paulo, any last words you'd like to do before we go?
No, thank you a ton for having me. Everyone that is here on this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Mr. Free to Play is a great dude, and he makes some great and helpful content for you all. So make sure you're subscribed.
All right, thanks, Paulo. And once again, the links to his channel, both Twitch and YouTube, will be down below. And without further ado, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.